G'day all. I've made a special trip to the remote outback town of Farina, South Australia, known for its underground bakery, and while I'm here, attempting to film as many bird species as I can.
600 kilometres north of Adelaide, just off the Oodnadatta Track, lies the historic town of Farina. Settled in 1878, the addition of Arrowhead in 1882 saw the township grow to a population over 600. However, the harsh reality of the Australian outback and the eventual movement of the railhead meant over time the township was slowly abandoned and left to ruin, with the town being uninhabited since 1967. But since 2008, a group of volunteers have been lovingly preserving Farina's rich history, which includes the restoration of the town's 1888 wood-fired Scotch oven, turning it into the world-class attraction it is today. While Farina is open throughout the year, the famous underground bakery is only open for 2 months during South Australia's winter period, so check dates before travelling. Either way, Farina is well worth a visit. One bird I was hoping to see this trip was the iconic little Australian parrot, the budgerigar. It wasn't long before the distinctive call and a flash of colour moving across the landscape led me to this encounter. With many small flocks sighted, their numbers could be attributed to the favourable conditions due to unseasonable heavy rains seen throughout the South Australian outback. Preferring the harsh interior of the Australian mainland, the budgerigar is highly nomadic, moving across the landscape to take advantage of better feeding conditions. A pair of black-faced wood swallows. With outstretched wings, it may appear as if there is some confusion about flying. However, given the cool start to the morning, I would suggest they are using thermoregulation to help raise their body temperature. Joined by a budgerigar, it wasn't the first time I observed these two species cohabitating. I also observed them in flight together, which may seem a little odd considering the distinct behaviour of the two species, especially around feeding, with the budgerigar being predominantly a ground feeder, feeding on seeds, while the black-faced wood swallow catches insects on the wing and occasionally feeds on nectar. Crested pigeon, Australia's most common and widespread species of native pigeon. Their dull grey colorations highlighting the iridescent patches of purples, blues, browns and greens on their primary feathers. One of only 2 species of crested pigeons in Australia, the spinifex pigeon being the only other one. Just like the budgerigars, zebra finches were seen in numbers during this trip to Farina. Small flocks of adult males and females, along with a mixture of juveniles. This one a male, distinguished by its bright orange beak, rusty orange cheeks and white underbelly. The juveniles have dark markings on their beaks. Seed eaters, zebra finches are energetic, highly social small birds, preferring the arid interior of Australia's mainland. Relying on constant companionship, zebra finches are rarely found on their own, not only feeding in groups, but also roosting and nesting together. Interestingly, although female zebra finches are very vocal, using chirps and calls, it's only the male zebra finch which sings, using more complex vocalisations to make up a song. From the almost electric chirp of the zebra finch to the more melodic rufous songlark. As you will see later on in this video, these birds can put on quite the show when it comes to vocalisation range, but for now, this one happy to sit peacefully, well, until it is abruptly interrupted. If you listen closely, you can hear the air beating over the wings of this crested pigeon as it makes its way over to the branch. And what's better than one crested pigeon? 2 crested pigeons, with the first one now joined by its mate. Amongst the flat open country stretch patches of scrub which after good rains have become carpeted in grasses, making perfect habitat for many wildlife species, including butterflies, the meadow argus being the most abundant in numbers, many looking tattered like the harsh environment in which it inhabits. It's amazing how some can still fly, their delicate wings badly damaged by possible predator attacks or environmental factors, like catching their wings on something during rough weather. Not as abundant, and in better condition is the beautiful checkered swallowtail. Although called a swallowtail, it is the only member of the swallowtail family to not have a tail tip on its wings. It is also the most widespread of any swallowtail species, being found in many other countries across the world. Belonging to a diverse and widespread family of birds is singing honeyeater, one of 78 species of honeyeater found across Australia. Basking in the sun is diamond dove, Australia's smallest species of dove. Diamond doves are ground feeders, searching out their diet of seeds and occasionally insects. Highly social, they can be found in large flocks, especially around water, but in the grassy scrubland close to Farina, a small group congregates in the safety of the dense scrub. Originally 5 black kites were observed sitting in this tree, however with eyesight way better than mine, it wasn't long before they scattered as I got closer, with 2 eventually coming back, but I knew I was at my limit of not getting any closer. But when I noticed a large number of black kites circling above the Oodnadatta Track, I made my way over. On closer inspection, I found they were circling above a kangaroo carcass, so there was only one thing to do: set my camera up, focus on the carcass, press record and walk away. With their keen eyesight, I had to walk out of sight before they would even think about returning, but after some time they eventually did. With a frenzy of activity around the carcass, it wasn't only black kites trying to get an easy meal, with Australian ravens pushing their way in. With 5 Corvid species in Australia, it can be difficult to distinguish between species, so there may also be a mixture of little ravens and little crows, all trying to get their fair share. Just like black kites, ravens and crows are opportunistic scavengers, often seen eagerly patrolling roadways for an easy meal, just like this one. But one thing's for sure, it was a great spectacle to film as the birds chased and jostled for prime position around the carcass. I will put the full video up on YouTube at a later date. Overlooking the Farina campground is the memorial honouring the servicemen and women of Farina. A nice spot to watch the sun rise and set and reflect on the sacrifice of others. A new day brings more bird species. The Galahs, one of Australia's more common and widespread bird species. Stalking the Galahs in the warming sun is brown goshawk. As you can hear, sending the Galahs into panic as the brown goshawk chases them around the campground, attempting to snare a meal with those sharp talons. As mentioned earlier, the rufous songlark can put on quite the show in its efforts to attract a mate. Its unmistakable antics echoing across the campground as it flies from tree to tree. Stopping occasionally to rest is tree martin. Normally feeding above the tree line, they are swift and agile flies catching insects on the wing. Both male and female budgerigars are very similar in colour, but one distinguishing feature is the cere. Located just above the beak, it's brown on females, blue on males. This male bird caught me by surprise as it made its way slowly down the tree to a hollow, just around eye level. Not knowing what it was doing until almost too late, I did however manage to film it feeding a young bird, until it decided it had done enough and disappeared. The young bird almost looking old enough to fledge, soon leaving the nest to venture out into the world on its own. Nature can be cruel, but it's a world of eat or be eaten, with the circle of life carrying on in all creatures great and small. This green caterpillar has already been immobilised by the sting of a parasitoid wasp. It will soon be collected and dragged away, where the wasp will lay its egg inside the caterpillar, then bury it alive. A house sparrow, this one a male of the species. This bird is an introduced species which is now widespread throughout Australia, residing in both rural and urban environments. Amazing to see so many raptor species found in close proximity. This species, the Nankeen kestrel, is Australia's smallest and widespread of our birds of prey. Spiny-cheeked honeyeater, another member of the honeyeater family, preferring areas of sparse scrubland where it feeds on a varied diet of nectar, small fruits and insects. Along the Farina Creek is a walking trail which is easily traversed and where many bird species were spotted, including woolly wagtail. This easily recognisable and widespread member of the flycatcher family is adept to many Australian conditions and is found across the entire Australian continent. Almost always on the move, woolly wagtail is an insectivore and can be seen darting through the air or across the land in search of insects. So this brings me to the end of this video and look at some of the fantastic bird life around the historical township of Farina. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like to see more nature-based videos. Thanks for watching.